Take two. All right. There you have the GAFC virtual view, which is cool. Now, very snappy. One swipe between views. That brings up everything, and it's all your amplifier, the acoustic thing, all of your gains, all your stuff. It's pretty nice like that. Now, switch it around. Come on, you baby. You got some scrolling to do, but I think whatever it is you want to look at, this is a fairly simple way to lay things out. Chain. That comes up with these numbers. And then, what did I see? There was a different way to do this. Touching little three dots, it gives you a customized chain. Now, I'm kind of wondering here if that's right or not. Normally it should be boost mod effects, but apparently some of these things you can swing around. Mod and boost, for example. Boost effects, no. Cool. Delays you can move around. Reverb, no. Output, no. EQ. You can do before the amp or after the amp. Very interesting. Very interesting. That I really like. If we do it the other way, you can scroll, so it works either way. All right, so let me start this up. What I have here behind me is the Katana Librarian in a beta version for the Go, which is the first one that's coming out, is going to be for Android. I am not an Android person. I do a lot of Midi stuff, and Android tends to be a bit of a pain with that. In the last take I was doing, this thing cut out 4 times. Now it's steady. All I've done is move a little bit further away from the iPad. There you go. That's working. Oh, cheapo phone. I read me. You need Android 4.0 or better to run on this thing. Works in landscape, works in portrait, which is really cool. That's your primary view with a bunch of sliders. You've got the amplifier stuff up here in that area, and then all of the effects, cab, solo, contours. That's cool. This chain, which is movable, pedal effects, EQ, wah. So is it much different from the regular BTS? Not so much, but that is pretty freaking awesome. I'm digging that a lot. Now, there's a lot more stuff that this thing can do. Here, you've got groups, which you can set up. Go to experiment. Let's call this a little reactionary video. I put this thing on here a couple hours ago. Got a code for it so that I could do some full testing. So this is the full version. You will have to buy this for 12 bucks. Hopefully, you know, that's something that's doable for everyone. Now, what this does when you're in, what's this thing called? The editor view. You get that. The librarian view, you can turn these little arrows on and off if you want. Warns you about any changes you've made not being saved. Now, you can flick through here, and this is loading up a patch at a time. And that seems a little bit slow, but think about it. It's actually loading all this stuff in. So you can load, this would be the equivalent of your write in BTS. Fuzz lead, yeah, okay. Gonna save that. You can say write patch to the amp. I don't want to do that because I'm not editing it. But there you can see I've got 3 of my 30 patches in here. And you can jump to any one of them you want. I think you can click on these, select them, and save. You can have up to 100. From what I'm understanding, I don't really want to go through the entire thing because I need to actually spend more time with it and figure it out. But for someone who spent an hour with this thing, it's super simple. You can flick around the views, particularly this way in portrait mode, work out great. You've got all 6 of your things. As you're flicking through different presets, you'll notice the boosters, FX, delays, all of that's changing on the fly. What's active is clearly seen. You can turn stuff on. The really good news I found is I connected this up both by Bluetooth with the WIFI and directly with a USB-C cable right in there. And it worked. There's a thing here in the settings. There's a lot of stuff to go through there, but scroll down to remote control. Hotkey settings, this thing is by default going to work with HID commands, keyboard commands. So if you've got a keyboard, you could just use their commands and do that. Or it will do Midi learn, which you can see down here. I didn't have to do anything. I just literally took one of my big Midi controllers and started hitting buttons. And it's coming out with the numbers that are on there. You don't really have to care what that is. Just hit the button you want and assign it to the toggle or the effects or whatever it is you want to do. As you can see, there's a whole ton of stuff in here. The channels are all set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And panel, that would be for, what the hell? That would be for a regular katana. This thing is quite lovely in the fact that you can import TSLs. You can then save that into Go format. Not much different from BTS, but you can export the other way as well, which BTS does not do. Where is it? Parent patch overwrite, file format for sharing patches. There you go. So by default, it's for whatever amplifier you're using. What's really cool is you can do MK1 to Gen 3 and Go format. So you can rewrite these patches and it will work. I want to try that out. Now, the real reason I was doing this is I use all the Air stuff. The Waza Air, the Katana Air, the Katana Air EX, the PGT, the GT1, but all the stuff that's stereo and kind of weird and outside of the realm of the big boy amp katanas. So I would ask Jimmy or anyone else who's got the stuff to test this thing out and see if it's working with your Gen 3 amps, your Mark 2 amps, how it's flicking around, how you find that with control. Wireless seems to be working. I don't know. It's weird. Whenever you come and do a video, something weird happens, and then 10 minutes later, it's fine for a while. But I would say this. Fairly positive. You know, my iPad is got a cracked screen and it probably needs repair, and that's going to be a ton of money. I think that anybody who is dealing with Android wants the ability to switch stuff around. Once it's slightly different view, yeah, that would work. If you have different amps, all the guys who have the Katana and they love it, and there's billions of people using Katana Librarian, now with the Go, you should get a Go. That fits in your pocket. That can be fed into the aux of the Katana, and you have a second Katana brain. You can transfer stuff around way easier than moving an amp with this thing. It's all the same effects that you know and love. The same sort of amp, the same sort of setup, but it's stereo. It does borrow stuff from the Waza, so now you have Android. Wicked. And that is going to go and be available on iOS as well. It's not doing the stuff that Midi Patch does, for sure. There's a lot of stuff that I think probably could be added to it, but that would be my question for people. I tend to just complicate the hell out of stuff and try and do everything and everything and everything and more and more and more and more. What are most people looking for? Is it simply next preset, previous preset, ABC? That does it. Toggling your switches? That does it. You can do it right there on the screen without hooking up a foot controller, or you can hook up a foot controller. Cool. Really cool. So, maybe it's the fact that I was casting this thing. I'm a long way from my Wi-Fi in this room, so that's probably it as well. It's kind of struggling today, but as you saw previously, that thing, for an El Cheapy thing like this, I think this was like 120 euro. You can get these things for even way under that. If you've got an Android 4 phone that can cast and has USB-C and all that sort of stuff, you could strap that under a board and remote stuff to a TV in your TV room. You could get a nice cheap $40 M-Wave thing, and you've got a rig that works in stereo. Hook it into your stereo downstairs and boom. As long as you have some full range flat response speakers, you're laughing with that thing. As a travel rig, it's awesome. That is now working. That's cool. In this reduced view like that, it's so simple just to tip and touch and tap. Nice. Not bad. Primary reaction. So I'm going to keep digging on with this thing and see. But really, what else did I want to ask people? How many switches do you really use typically? Like the BOSS thing, which I don't like, it has only 3. You can expand it to 5. The Air Steps have 5. Me, I tend to use all of the effects. I want full manual control over it, so that would be at least a 6. How do you all do it? What do you do with yours? I know a lot of people have these 4-switch M-Wave thingies, nice and cheap. Good for them. What would you do mapping 4 switches? How are you using this thing? Is it simply, I don't know, explain that to me. I'd really like to see that. The guys in the group who are doing this, like all of the guys who've gone and done mini patch as well, what is your usual setup? I would really like to know, and the reasoning behind it in particular. If it's a 4 switch, if it's a 6 switch, if it's a 10 switch, if it's a 12 switch, if it's a 16 switch, like some idiots. It would be interesting to know your reasoning behind these things and what you're doing. I will try this with multiple switches just to see how it goes. Could be if you got like 2 or 3 chocolates, you're spending 120 bucks. They're about 40 each, aren't they? That could be more than enough for anybody. I know Jimmy's got a whole bunch of these things, and so do a lot of my other mates. So let me know. I'd be very curious as to what is the average person's use factor for this thing. I don't think anyone's going to go out and buy a whole bunch of pirate MIDI bridges and get all that stuff together. But there are plenty of people out there with them, with big rigs. And that, which goes in your pocket, is a really nice pedal platform for all the big pedals. It is wicked to take the place of a modeler, even with a helix. You can flick that in a loop if you want, and then wrap helix stuff around it, or a stomp, or the other BOSS things. 8-9 blocks in something that can fit in your pocket is pretty wicked. Control of it now in Android as well as iOS. I think Stefan's things are very cool. That was another thing that I had to check. Will this thing work in the background? I.e., if you've got stuff set up on it, can you flick out of this app and still manipulate the switches, and that still works so that you could watch YouTube, for example? I don't know. Just shooting the shit. But we'll see. We will see. That both of these programs, Mini Patch and K-Midi and WMidi Air and the Katana Librarian, all come out of Canada, and these guys live only 500 kilometers from each other. You all should have a barbecue. Really. Get together and make something super special. That's cool. Yeah. Or we could all go to New Zealand. Or you could just come here and have pizza. Speaking of which, dinner time. Anywho. Yeah. Cool.